Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Sun City in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic, sparkling Serenity Sunday. How's your day been? We have had an incredible day. But first, what did you do to kick back, relax today, to rejuvenate, to re-energize yourself? Did you sit and watch movies? Did you read books? Did you just have time with family? Did you go out for a Sunday drive? Did you go climb a mountain, go run a trail, go rock climbing, go skydiving? What did you do today that helped you to relax, rejuvenate, re-energize? Some of those have got a lot of adrenaline involved, so that would definitely re-energize the body. And are you ready for the coming week? It is going to be incredible. I've already got my planner done for the week because I did it last week. Maybe tomorrow morning I will go do it for next week, the following week. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. What are you? Yep, she's up to jumping on her toys again. I gotta get a video of her shaking her head. She gets a toy in her mouth sometimes, and she'll just stand there and just shake her head. And sometimes she loses grip, and this toy just goes flying. And she's like, what happened? And then she spots the toy and she pounces on it like a cat pounces on a ball. Sometimes I swear that she's part cat, just where she plays. But we've had an incredible day today. Hi, sweetie girl. Yeah. So this is Beta. Beta was one of the dinosaurs she got out of her latest bark box. Yes. So this is Beta from the Jurassic Park collection. You should see this face under the table. I'm going to keep her busy for a minute. No name in it. But we've had a great day. By 9:30 we were home. Let's see, was it 9:30? I think it was 9:30. Hang on. Yeah, by 9:30 we were home. We got up, did my normal morning routine. I get up the same time every morning, whether or not I'm working. Did my normal morning routine. We went out for a walk. But because we had the extra time today, we weren't time pressed on anything. We walked the entire perimeter of the pet area in the resort here. It's about a 20-minute walk. So yeah, not exactly sure how many steps that is. I think it's around 2,000 and something steps, but it takes us about 20 minutes because she's got to stop every 5 minutes and check on things, and she catch up on the gossip, leave her own posts, all that good stuff there. You shake that, it's going to go flying and you'll hit something you shouldn't hit. Release. Zeffy, release. No, not me release. You release. I can get a good grip on it. Bring it here. All right, now release. Zeffy, release. Good girl. And then when we got back, we got into the car and went to the dog park. And this time I took the half gallon jug like I normally do. But I knew that the squeeze bottle that goes into the bowl wouldn't be enough for her, but given the heat at the time. We were already at like 88 degrees by the time we got to the park. Not much. There was a slight breeze blowing if you were lucky enough to feel it. That's how slight it was. And after 50, and I had the half gallon jug with me, so I was able to just untwist the top, and she had water in there. And I'd thrown some ice cubes in there just before we'd earlier that morning, just because my pipes are coming out a little on the warm side. So I just threw some ice cubes in there. Oh, on the way there, we did stop and get breakfast at Burger King, only because it's the only food place on the way with the way we were heading. So we got to the dog park. We only stayed about 15 minutes. It just got way too hot. It was full sun. There were some big dogs there today. Big. We're talking full-size St. Bernards, full-size German Shepherds. What else was there that was big dog? There was they didn't have the Great Danes there today. But yeah, we had full-blown, I think there was 3 St. Bernards, 4 German Shepherds, and they're all over one side of the park, all just crowded underneath this piece of shade there from one of the shade pieces that they have up. And so, of course, Zeffy just kind of like toodles on over there and gets close enough and then runs part, and then she just kind of just trots over there. And as she gets closer, then she just like slams the speed on, spins around and takes off. And 1 or 2 of them just kind of chased her a little bit, like stay out of our area. But she had a lot of fun zooming around, but she was getting very hot at the same time and kept coming over to me to get drinks and things. And now she's sitting on the engine hump waiting for her TRE. treats, because we got back in after 8 o'clock and she hasn't had them yet. Um, and So yeah, we're only there about 15 minutes, and she was already starting to lag and struggling with the heat and everything else. So I was just like, okay, we're going to pack this up. And she's over in one of the shaded areas, and this other dog that's around the same size as her comes over. And so they're doing the usual sniffy thing where they sniff each other out and all that, and then Zeffy mounts her. And I'm like, and I've told him many times, we do not make special friends, and she has the total wrong equipment to be doing anything like that. And this other dog took exception to it and didn't like it at all. So I went and I grabbed hold of Zeph, called her, grabbed her, put her leash on, and said, that's it, we're done. And told her, we don't make special friends at the dog park. No, not everybody likes being mounted. And that's one that didn't like it. And the other woman got her dog and took it into the other dog park, into the small dog park, because her husband was there with their little dog. And that reminds me, I don't understand people's mentality. When you get to the dog park, this one, A, was closed. B, was dogs over 35 pounds. Over 35 pounds. Park C, dogs under 35 pounds. They're very clear signs. And there's couples walking up, and they've got their little chihuahua, this little dog about this big, it would sit in the palm of my hand. And I don't have very big hands. It was this tiny little dog, right? And it had this little pink outfit on, and you could tell it was a girl, and it was all princessed out and everything else. And as they're walking up, the husband says, oh, should we go to the big dog park or the little dog park? And for whatever reason, they chose to come to the great big dog park. And I'm like thinking, your dog's about to become a meal. You've got huge dogs in here. And by this stage, we had huskies added to the mix. So we now had huskies, St. Bernards, German shepherds, and there were some other big dogs there too that I didn't recognize the breeds of them. This little dog became like a magnet. All the big dogs were like, oh, little dog. And this woman's having to literally wade her way through this. There was probably about 10 dogs around her little chihuahua. The little chihuahua was in the middle there, like shaking like a leaf. And I'm like, who the hell would bring their little dog that weighs all of 2 pounds into a big dog park where there's dogs over 100 pounds? Where is the sense in that? And so she picks her dog up and just holds on, and the other dogs are like milling around her because they're trying to get to this little puppy thing. And there's some Labradoodles in there as well, big dogs. And Zeffy's like on the outskirts. I said, Zeffy, get your butt over here. And she came over and I said, you don't need to be part of that mix. And so she was quite good at staying away from that. But it was probably about, so then all the other dogs get called away. And so she puts her dog back down again and goes and stands with her husband and watches her little dog. And I'm like, seriously, what is wrong with people? And so then the dogs start coming back over again. Oh, look, little dog, let's go. And so she goes and grabs the dog. And then they go over to and I didn't see them leave. But when I looked up a couple of minutes later, they're over in the little dog park, and her little dog's just standing there, and none of the other dogs are coming anywhere near her or anything like that. And I'm like, yeah, she's in a much better place. She's in with dogs her own size. But I did not understand the mentality of them as they're walking up. Oh, should we go to the big dog park or the little dog park? And you're holding a 2-pound dog. Did not understand that at all. But, each to their own. And I say, good on it. Each to your own. If you want to bring your little dog into the big dog park, be prepared for the consequences. That's all I can say. And, and don't ever try taking your big dog into a little dog park. That would not be good. Zeffy would run over. I keep Zeffy out, even though looking at her size-wise, she would be able to go into the little dog park. But I also know that with little dogs, she's a little more alpha than when she's in the big dog park. And she can get a little intimidating. She can actually intimidate the little dogs, and I'm aware of this with her. And so I keep her out of the little dog park, and I put her in the big dog park. But then she's 38 pounds, so she's over the 35-pound limit. And some people say, oh, she's just kind of borderline. I'm like, yeah, no, you don't understand. She would run over those little dogs. And if those little dogs took exception to her, she would either whack them or pin them. She would have them flat on their back, and she would pin them as though to discipline them. I said, yeah, we're not doing that. And so we left the dog park and headed back home. Stopped and got gas on the way, and I can't believe it cost me, what was it? $69.62 to put 12.2 gallons into my car. It was 5.699 per gallon today, and I haven't filled my tank for about 4 weeks now. 4 weeks, yeah. And last time I bought gas, I paid $5.19 a gallon. So, yes. And I was thinking, oh, should we go for another drive? I wasn't really going to go back home again. And I thought, let's just go back home. It's Sunday. We're just going to kick back and relax. And last night I'd started watching Anatomy of a Scandal, and I'd watched the first 2 episodes. And so I thought, we'll just go finish the other 4. It's only 6 episodes long, and that's it. Boom, bang, done. It's a miniseries. And so we came back. I started falling asleep through episode 3, and I was like, yeah, no, this isn't good. And I was guzzling down the water because it'd been pretty warm out there. And so I thought, I'm just going to go take a nap. So I think I napped for about an hour. And at some point, Zeffie came and joined me. And then we got up, got lunch, and sat down and watched the rest of the series. It was a pretty good series. It wasn't too bad. Anatomy of a Scandal. There's a couple of twists and turns in there, and one of them I managed to figure out before the little twisty bit hit. I kind of had an inkling, and my little inkling turned out to be good. And so then it was like, what should we watch next? And going through, and I was looking through some of the movies that I have, and yeah, you know how when you have a whole bunch of movies you go through and you just can't decide which one to watch, and then one sticks out and goes, slap, slap, pick me. And I was like, okay. And it was Hidden Figures, and I absolutely love that movie. The strength, the courage that it took to overcome the obstacles that these women faced, and at the same time, their knowledge that they were, that was their knowledge and their wisdom and their smarts that was being used to help help with the space race in the US here was just incredible. I mean, those 3 women, their stories are just, it gives me chills every time I watch that movie. And I do get a little emotional about it and everything else, but I absolutely love that movie and love the courage that these women had, and how smart they were. Oh my gosh. Anybody that is that smart has my admiration. But to see in action, how they could see what was coming, and I'm like Doris could see the computer coming in and taking over what her girls do. So going in and learning how to use the computer, teaching herself the programming of the computer, and then turning around and teaching the rest of her team, this is how we use these things, and this is what it's going to do for us, and everything else, and how she battled to become a supervisor. And then Mary, I'm trying to remember everybody's names. No, it was Dorothy. Is it Dorothy or Doris? Dorothy. Oh, darn. How can I forget that? I don't know how many times I've watched that movie. There are times I forget characters' names in movies. And these women had such an amazing story. Dorothy, not Doris, Dorothy, and how she became that supervisor role, and Mary having to fight to become an engineer. This is all back in the 60s, and I'm like, okay, those are the years, that's in the time that I was born. And then, of course, Catherine with her brain just being that computer. I mean, they had smarts I just can't comprehend, and my hat's off to them. Anybody who has that smarts and is able to make changes in this world for the good and to help us advance and everything else, my hat's off to them, because that stuff I will never understand, and I'm glad that there's people out there who have the smarts to do it. But to watch the struggles that these women had to face, and and overcoming those struggles, and always taking the high road. They always took the high road. That's so much admiration for those women. So much admiration. Just incredible women. And I liked the bit where Jim got down on his knees to propose to Mary, and he turns around and says, this was my mother's wedding ring, and they had a very long marriage together. They had many years together, and I hope that the symbolizes that the luck will run off on us. And then at the end, when they're doing the catch up on everything else, and how at the age of 97, Catherine was being awarded with the Medal of Freedom. She was being awarded with a medal of freedom, I think it was. And it said there that her and Jim were together, were celebrating 56 years that day. And I was like, yes. It always just makes me smile when I read that bit, that, his wish was that they would have a long marriage like his parents did, and this was his mother's wedding ring, and that's what to him it symbolized, that it would be that if they had a long marriage with her wearing that ring, they were going to have one as well. And that was his belief. And to see that thing at the end when they're catching up on where they ended up, what they ended up doing and everything else, and to find out that they had been together at 56 years, which was 97 years old, and they've been together 56 years. I was like, yes, they're still going strong. And I can't remember what year the movie was made when that was done. But just to read that little piece in there to say that they've been together 56 years, I was like, oh, I'm so grateful that they got to have that, those amazing years together and everything else. And I'm thankful for their contributions that they made. Incredible. I love the true life stuff. I love the biographies. Yes, I know that when the movie world gets hold of biographies and starts making stories about them, they sensationalize it a little bit. They overemphasize some portions. They may underemphasize others. They make their changes because Mark Twain once said, it's no wonder that what is it? Hang on. Give me a second. I will find it because I have the exact quote here. Mark Twain once said, it's no wonder that truth is stranger than fiction. Fiction has to make sense. And this is why when you see some of these biography stories, they're fictionalized just a little bit in there because the truth didn't make sense, because the truth wouldn't have made sense had they put it on screen. And so I know there's a lot of that going in there. But to get a glimpse into people's lives, obstacles they've overcome, challenges that they have faced, this is all part about sharing your story and why it's important to share your story, because you may not end up on the big screen, but you may write a story about your life and it could have an impact on somebody's life. I was overwhelmed last week on Wednesday when I did my second presentation of my story since Brad, of my life since Brad had passed. And I got a note from somebody saying that they were in tears because of my story, and they don't even know how that appointment. They don't even recall registering for the call. One, number two, it was just appeared in their calendar, and I'm like, oh, what's in my calendar? I must need to be there. So they came along with no idea how it got in their calendar, and she'd been having some struggles and stuff, and something in what I said clicked with her, and she says, I'm sitting here in tears. This is the catalyst that I needed. And I was just like, wow, that just hit me right in the heart. And as soon as I read that, she had me in tears as well. But you never know. And there are people out there who may get impacted by your story that may never contact you and tell you the impact that you've had. So you may never, ever know the true impact that your story will have with somebody. So get out there and just tell it. And for those of you who have stories that are left behind by ancestors that have gone, go dig out their journals. If they've left journals for you, go dig them out, read them, copy them so other members of the family have them. I remember there's a couple of books that my mum copied, and one of them was written by my great aunt about her life in War Boys in the Manor. And the Manor is this manor house in England. It's behind a church. There's a church with a graveyard, and then the manor house is behind there. And that was in my family for a number of years. And there was a book that was published that was basically written by my second great aunt, 2 times great aunt, 2 times, 3 times. Well, no, let's do 3. Yes. No, hang on. Now I'm forgetting my family tree stuff. It was my great-grandfather's half-sister. So his half-sister wrote letters, and this book was published of the letters that she wrote about her life in the manor house, about her life there. And my great aunt had a copy of that book, And my mother was able to borrow it one time, and she made a copy for herself and for myself. It was on my dad's side of the family. So I've got a photocopy of it in my box in the storage with all my other genealogy stuff. And then my mum also has a copy of it as well. And it is really interesting reading about what life was like in the late 1800s in England, living in this manor house in this little town in the middle of Huntingdonshire, which is now part of Cambridge, and to find out what life was like during that time. And like I said, that was like 1800s. And to be able to go back and read that stuff now, it's really, really cool, because it gives us an idea of some of the struggles that they were facing at the time, and some of the family history that was going on at the time. Like she was talking about people who had passed away, people who had gotten married, kids that were born, things like that, in her letters that she was writing to friends and family. But it was just all about her life in there. She never got married. She came out to New Zealand with my second great-grandmother. My second great-grandmother was her stepmother. My second great-grandfather passed away just after my great-grandfather was born. And so Alice was one of the people that actually came out with my great-grandfather and my great-great-grandmother to New Zealand. And she met up with my great-great-grandmother, came out here with her brothers, or met her brothers out here. A little fuzzy on that one. I can't remember if she traveled by herself with a 5-year-old son, and I'm trying to remember how old Alice would have been. I can't remember. I think she was a lot older, and hadn't been married. And Alice never did get married, but she's the one that wrote those letters for War Boys, what it was like to live in War Boys in the manor house. And so I treasure that, because like I said, it gives you an insight into somebody's life, an actual insight, first-hand experiences of what it was like. So just think what your story could do for somebody 150 years from now. What was it like to live in 2020 or 2020? Hang on, we're in 2022. If you kept journals and stuff through the last 2.5 years of the global pause, what was life like for you during then? How were you affected by it? Being able to journal this, so 150 years from now, people can look back and go, oh yeah, that's right, they had that global pause in 2020 that went on for a couple of years, for 2.5 years or whatever it was. So what was their life like back then? And they're able to go back and read your journals or read your book that came out during that time. What did I do in 2020? I traveled. I traveled across the I-10, and we got to Florida, and I think it was about a week after we got to Florida, we were in lockdown for 9 weeks. 9 weeks in Florida at one campground. Yeah, that was a long time there, but we had a great time there. It was a good time, and then we got out of there and started making our way back to California by going went to Arkansas, and went to Georgia, visited friends in Georgia. Well, they actually came and visited me. Then Arkansas was the next place where I got to spend some time with some friends too. It was really cool, because I'd known Jason for a number of years, but never got to meet his family in person. I had met them on Zooms, but to actually meet them in person and get to spend time with them was just such a precious, precious time. And I am forever grateful for that. And Zeffie loved the kids, and the kids loved Zeffie. And there was even videos taken of Barrett and Zeffie playing tug of war, and sometimes Zeffie would win and sometimes Barrett would win, and it was just a lot of love and laughter in that room, and it was just, I'm so blessed to get to spend time with them. And then I got up to Colorado Springs and was very blessed to spend a few weeks with Mike and Brenda, and get to know them a little more, and got to meet up with some of the other people in the area that I knew as well, who I hadn't met in person at that time. And so it was just a very, very special time. And so I and then I left their place and went to stay with another friend for a few days, and got to meet her in person and got to check out her studio. She does these amazing pin-up photography. So stuff from like that dressed in the 50s. These beautiful pin-up pictures and everything else. And she also does boudoir as well. And her photography is incredible. And then got to spend a couple of nights at a friend's place in just south of there in Pueblo. And her driveway, and Zeffie and her dog Gemini and Gemini's a full female German Shepherd, and Gemini and Zeffie just tore up the backyard. I mean, that was already a big backyard anyway to start with, and the dogs just had a blast running around there. They even played tug with this big stick. So I got this photo of little Zeffie with her mouth wrapped, like wide open, wrapped around this one end of the stick, and Gemini's just casually holding it and holding the other end in her mouth, and they're on opposite sides of the stick, trying to tug it from each other. It was adorable. But yeah, they got to. It was a good time. It was a good trip, and then getting back into California and spending a few weeks there to get things tidied up before heading to Arizona. And headed to Arizona in September of 2020, and been here in Arizona ever since. So I've spent 2 weeks. Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks back in California to get my stuff packed up and moved out here, and that was last year. But I've been back to California since March of 2021, and I'm sort of like, I'm so missing my grandkids. And I got a new one I haven't met yet, so I'm trying to figure out when is going to be the best time to go, and talking with the family, I'm going to figure out when the best time is for me to come as well. So hey, look, I'm looking at coming between these dates, what's going to work best for you guys, and then I got to figure out what to do with Zeffie, because yeah, that's going to be the next challenge, because I'm not taking Sparkles with me. I'll just be going in the car, and it's do I take her on the road trip or leave her at a kennel here in Arizona? And so I'm going to be spending time finding a kennel for her and doing the odd night, which is going to be tough on me as well. Doing the odd night here and there without her, having her stay overnight at a kennel, which is going to be interesting since she has really bad separation anxiety, and I don't know how she'll do in a kennel when there's other dogs around and that sort of thing. But anyway, that's what's coming up. So we've had a nice relaxing day. I don't know what movie we're going to go watch now, Zeph. What movie we're going to watch? You don't know? Should we play fetch? Bring it here. Bring your toy here. You can come and get love and scratches anytime. So it's been a great day today, and then we get tomorrow off. So I'll still have the wake up call in the morning, and then after that, thinking of going and getting my mail tomorrow. But then I suddenly realized I've got packages arriving tomorrow, so that'll probably be later in the day when I go and get my mail after I get the notification that the other 3 packages that I'm expecting tomorrow have arrived. But anyway, I'm out of here. Go have a super fantastic sparkling weekend. It is Magic Monday tomorrow. It is also a federal holiday for Juneteenth, which is actually today, but they're observing it tomorrow as a federal holiday. So go out and enjoy your day tomorrow if you are not having to work. Enjoy your day if you're having to work. Enjoy your day too. But go find the spark to light the fire for next week, and that's what tomorrow is all about. The Magic Monday is all about finding the spark for the week and what's upcoming. And we got a cool week coming up. I got some appointments. I got some connections to make, some networking to do. It's going to be awesome. But anyway, go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening. Hey, Konara.